Uniform ist falsch. Du bist keiner von uns!
Welcome to the KO Game Room, and while first-person shooters are commonplace these days, still none quite stand out to me quite like the early 2000s release of Medal of Honor Frontline for the Nintendo Gamecube.
You're about to embark upon the great crusade toward which we have striven these many months.
Published by EA in 2002, Medal of Honor comes from a time when the game market wasn't completely saturated by first-person shooters. They all had their own unique personalities, and this one starts off, anyway, like a game completely based on the movie Saving Private Ryan. The entire opening sequence leading into the first mission is practically a copy and paste of the movie. But don't take this as a complaint, because that was a great movie, and since there were no games directly based on it, at least to my knowledge, it's kind of nice to be able to play through something so similar.
Damn it! We gotta get the wire cleared! Patterson, you're up! Get over here! Private Jones has enough Bangalores to clear a hole in the wire, but he's pinned behind that Belgian gate down the line! Help Jones back to our position! We'll give you cover fire! Wait for my order! Covering fire! Go, go, go!
Medal of Honor Frontline was also released onto the PlayStation 2, as well as the original Xbox. And while there were full video scenes between the missions on those versions, the gameplay remains identical on all three platforms, as far as I can tell.
Stay behind me and keep shooting! Ready?
Frontline appears pretty dated when compared to today's first-person shooters, as one would expect, but I find that it still looks and plays great. Now that could just be the fond memories of the frenzied multiplayer matches speaking, but seeing as this game is 14 years old now, it's truly been a nostalgic rush for me recording the footage for this review.
This your first drop, Patterson, or is your aim always as bad as mine? We better see if anyone else is around. Then we'll get you to town.
I've forgotten how much fun it can be hosing groups of enemies down with a machine gun, or taking precise shot from hundreds of yards away, and it's all made possible because the controls are tight, and everything feels very responsive.
Jimmy! Germans!
Let's go!
Get down! Get down! Alarm, David!
Add in multiple button layouts, and it's very unlikely that you won't find one that suits your preferences. For the sake of recording this gameplay, I picked the Medal of Honor Sharpshooter setting as it feels the most similar to a modern-day first-person shooter, but I distinctly remember only ever using the classic Medal of Honor setting when I was younger, probably because I was still used to games like GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64. The difference between them, though, is that GoldenEye still feels very comfortable to play, whereas only using one controller stick to control everything in this game feels clunky and unacceptable to me now. Especially when there is a second control stick not being utilized, so it's nice to be able to change that.
Achtung, Achtung! U4902 hat angelegt und muss sofort durchsucht werden. Feuer! Verdacht, dass ein Feuerwehrbewohner in das Hafengelände flüchten will.
The plot of the single-player campaign seems like a pretty standard World War II game or movie story. You take control of Lieutenant James Jimmy Patterson, and being the badass that he is, accepts the mission to head deep into enemy-held territory, alone, to destroy the top-secret Nazi jet fighter, codenamed HOIX. Along the way, however, you'll of course be sidetracked and find yourself doing things like saving a strategically important bridge from demolition. The creators of Medal of Honor Frontline do an amazing job of painting the backdrop of a Europe in late World War II. The landscapes are appropriate, and while sometimes dull with very little contrast and color, the environments vary greatly, and the attention to detail is very good.
Hey, spätestens.
When researching this entry into the Medal of Honor series, I discovered that there had since been a high-definition remastered version of this game released as a bonus feature to the 2010 game Medal of Honor, then later released onto the PlayStation Network as a digital download. But seeing as it's an exclusive to the PS3, it's not very likely I'll be playing that one anytime soon because the KO game room is sadly lacking a PlayStation 3. This game can be found easily enough. I've come across it at almost every game store that carries titles from the era, and it shouldn't run you a ton of money. And as mentioned earlier, it was also released for the PlayStation 2 and the original Xbox. So if you have any of these consoles, I would definitely recommend this game. It's a fun run through the European theater of war as illustrated by the developers at EA, and the multiplayer mode really is a blast. Arguably, it's the game's strongest feature. I left that out of this review, however, because I wanted to save that one for a later episode of Versus. So check back at some point because that one is on the list. And with that, I'd like to say thank you for watching this review of Medal of Honor Frontline for the Nintendo Gamecube. And if you enjoyed watching this video, then you should head on over to KO Retro's YouTube channel and check out all the other videos there. Once again, thank you for watching.